For the newly indoctrinated, Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files follows the story of a professional wizard in Chicago. We started our podcast as a way to help break down the series' most important moments, characters, and lore. This is McAnally's Dresden Files Pubcast by Free Flow Rambling. Conjure at it by your own risk. Welcome to the McAnally's Pubcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. This is episode 5.8, Naked Earlobes. My name is Tansenn, and I'm joined by Jess.
Hello.
And today we have a guest, Michael.
What's up?
He's back again.
Hey.
Yeah.
And still no mom.
Yeah, she's still away. She is working remotely.
I don't even remember what she looks like anymore.
This chair is getting mighty comfortable.
They'll be duking it out.
Fight for your place back on the show. Oh, you know everything about the Dresden Files and we don't? Okay.
I'll record the fight. It'll be good. Good publicity.
Patreon content.
Yeah, sweet. Come on down to McAnally's Pub. Wednesday special, 4:30 to close. Toot Toot Pizza Pizzazz. Recommended by fairies everywhere. Don't forget our nightly special, where every night is $6 steak and ale, featuring Mac's Wizard Preferred proprietary brew. Chapter 17. Dresden makes his way through the police department under the blending potion's influence. He makes it to the holding cells only to find out he is too late. Loupgarou attacks everyone, the prisoners, the jailer, and even Dresden, who narrowly escapes just as Murphy makes it on the scene.
How convenient for him.
Oh boy, I sure am glad we waited an hour at the gas station. That sure paid off.
I wish I had an almanac. I wish I knew what the time was like. I wish I knew if I had 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 5 minutes. But that Slurpee, I really needed it.
Oh man, definitely.
Speaking of almanac, I would bet he wishes it was 20 years later and one of his cohorts had a cell phone.
These pages just don't cut it.
So the police officers that were outside Harry's apartment reported in to say, "Oh my God, he's gone." But do we see anything else in the chapter that shows that they've responded to that call? It seems like the Loupgarou takes precedence, right? No one really cares that Harry's returned to his apartment.
Well, they didn't know that he returned.
Right. Well,
Okay.
I thought they
noticed someone had been in.
There.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Carmichael's the one that's reporting on this to Murphy, and that's what he overhears. And Murphy is like, "Christ, Carmichael, is Dresden going to have to walk right into the office before you can find him?" Why, yes. Yes, he is.
Just because when I read this, I thought the setup was going to be that, oh my God, someone's been at Harry's apartment, let's send our guys there, and that's why there's going to be no one at the police station to deal with McFinn. And then be like, oh my God, Harry, because of you, McFinn wasn't contained. But that's not how it turned out, so there goes my theory immediately out the window.
So unfortunately, yeah, the police station is not empty, because obviously that would be really convenient,
Yeah,
you know?
in and out. Which raises the question of how effective is his blending potion versus everyone else is just distracted.
Well, before they're all distracted, it works great.
Yeah.
I love that sort of Casablanca look that everything is gray. I think I mentioned that last time.
Yeah.
I was like, that's wicked.
It is, it's fun.
So he approaches the matronly sergeant at the desk, which is like, sure, janitors can go into the holding cell area. That seems like a place that needs cleaning.
Literally, that's what I was thinking. Like, sure, there's bathrooms in there, but like...
Unless, is this like the front office, and then he goes into another area, which also has the holding area?
Yeah, so it's like, you go through whatever, the police precinct, and he goes off towards where they keep the jail cells, and there's like a front section there too, right? And I don't know how this one is set up, but like, on movies and stuff, like, you go to and pay the bail over on the side, where they're like, you know, and then you wait for them to be released. Who knows?
Yeah. But also most places have like a separate facility entrance.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
But listen, that wouldn't help with what Jim Butcher's trying to go with here.
Right. And I would imagine that, like, in practicality of real life, that if the janitor is going to be cleaning up things, it would be on empty cells and not full.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is like, I could imagine, like, okay, if you're being let back there, and you're only going to go into the empty cells, right? Like, even that would make sense to me, right? But I would still think a guard would go with you, just in case, because, like,
Right,
know,
anything
like-
could happen. Is your janitor trained in
Well, that's the thing. Like,
self-defense?
even if let's say you've got
SWAT
10
janitor.
cells and 5 of them are filled, so the janitor's only going to clean the other 5. I still think a guard would go back there with you. Like,
Yeah.
It just seems so strange to me that he's like, yeah, go. And I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's the thing about his blending potion is that the guard normally does go, but in this case he was just so la 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 la.
But it also doesn't give you fake credentials with which to get inside.
He's still a janitor in this case, but maybe if you just forget enough, he's just so removed from your conscious that you forget that you're supposed to go with him. You're just like, oh yeah, blah blah blah.
That could be it,
Go back to
too.
my magazine, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
It is weird, but I don't know.
We've already seen that Jim Butcher does not have a high regard for law enforcement in this particular book.
No, he's no Tom Clancy.
Yeah, he really thinks not too highly of them, and or at least that's what it comes across to me. That it seems that he's got not a lot of respect for them. That they're these hotheads and these irresponsible sort of folk.
Well, I think part of the modern sci-fi angle is that cops are fodder.
Yeah.
I think to a certain degree when you're writing in that sort of a world, cops are a huge presence that kind of always show up and are more or less expendable.
Yeah.
You've got citizens and you've got cops, and cops are kind of your only characters that are always going to be running towards the danger. So to a certain degree, you can use civilians for the surprise attack, but after that, you kind of only have cops, because the rest of your character cast is superheroes,
Yeah.
Right.
It's back in the 50s, classic sci-fi. It was always oh my god, we discovered this problem. What do? We go to the government and fully cooperate with them and everything will be resolved. Whereas post-Vietnam, it's don't trust the government with anything. Get the hothead who's been disavowed by everyone and just solve it yourself.
Exactly. If you want to break into Area 51, you do that shit on your own time.
Oh, yeah.
And what's that Naruto run? Make sure you do
Yes.
the Naruto run.
When does Harry do a Naruto run?
Parkour.
That should have been in changes. Parkour!
Yes.
Parkour!
His Naruto run is in changes. Scene after Leah grants that little, no spoilers, but
Yeah.
that's his Naruto run.
Yeah, it's the one action Butcher doesn't describe in full, but it's definitely happening.
It wasn't relevant to the story, so he didn't describe it, but it was there.
That's awesome.
How else would he have pulled it off?
It's the only way to go fast.
All right, so he's inside the jail.
No, let's keep talking about this.
Well, okay, so when I think of, admittedly, I'm not a prison expert either, just like Butcher. But when I think of a holding tank, a kind of a sub-level division of the police, I don't think of a multi-celled jail. I think of just one caged area.
Well, I think of
Sounds
both.
like a proper prison almost.
Yeah, I think of both, because I think even in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, if either of you watched that, sometimes their holding cell was like the back room of a church where all the families with their little children sit. And sometimes they would throw, 50 people in there. And then other episodes, they'd have a legit 5 or 6 cells lined up next to each other, Just kind of depends on.
Well, what I wondered is this is SI. This is SI's floor. How did SI have its own holding
Yeah.
cell?
And
What was
that's
this
another thing, is
before?
SI has nothing, right? SI is isn't even in the main building. They're a building off to the side, right? It's all connected and there with each other, but it's not the main building. So it's not even they took over a floor that once was a bigger deal, They're in the, what's that? The thing that they used to construct outside of high schools?
The portable.
The portables, yeah. This is basically
my
the
God.
portable building they put up in the parking lot. And they're all right, SI, here you go.
All right.
So I could see even Murphy and her ingenuity being we absolutely need jail cells. Get rid of all your offices. You don't get offices anymore.
Yeah, they all have
I want a
just
jail.
decrepit name tags on all the doors, but they have a fully functioning quote unquote holding cell.
I can see that totally being Murphy's
I guess they're thinking special SI, right? Special investigation. They're these are all the real wackadoos. We don't want to put them in the other holding tank, so we'll just give them more places to just hold these crazy people, and then
Also
we'll just
true.
diffuse the crazy.
But on the other hand, it being portables, maybe they had a little bit more.
Modularity.
Well, because it came after, they might have had more opportunity to put whatever they wanted. Maybe, you know, more variety.
On your lunch break, everyone pitch into the prison construction project.
It's like Girl Scout cookies being sold to fund the prison.
Hi, we're the police. We're raising money for prison.
Please donate. Yeah. In Chicago, no less. You'll live there one day.
Yeah, all our money is going to the jail and Carmichael's stuffed animal collection.
That's hilarious.
So again, part of it is just Jim Butcher needed a jail cell.
Yeah.
He needed it to be an SI. So this is what we get. But part of it is also just like, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's their extension of reality here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so now he's playing a stealth mission on easy mode.
Again, werewolves, fine.
Yeah,
Whether or not SI has a jail cell.
I mean, put whatever you want into your context, but make sure that the context itself is...
Right?
Yeah.
Right, so either way, whether or not it makes sense, Dresden makes his way into the jail.
Yes.
Well, I guess even before that, he notices the monitors
Right.
that are depicting what's happening in the jail cell. At which point, I would not then want to gain access to the jail.
Right. Well, he sees the bars ripped open clean from the cell, like just...
Yeah, McFinn's cell is
He's
empty.
empty.
Yeah.
And then he watches McFinn attack one of the other prisoners, Matson. And then Clement is the next one to hit the fate. I wonder if these are also people that pissed off Jim Butcher.
Just slowly going through a list of
They're all
professors at
police
school.
members that he knew.
Just, yeah. How funny would it be if Butcher's just like, yeah, who's currently in the Chicago PD right now?
You left me a parking ticket? Well, I have
would
the
be
thing
me.
for you.
How dare you pull me over once? What's your name? What's your badge?
So not
It's
only
going in
have
the
SI
book.
invested in this prison, they've made it completely soundproof too. Which...
So yeah, and the guard says too, like, he was screaming and yelling earlier, but he's quieted down now.
Yeah.
Even if it took a while to get him booked and put away,
Oh, yeah,
maybe
so
then
he
he was
heard
freaking
him.
out. But yeah, like, for whatever reason now, like, many prisoners are in the back. They're all yelling. Dresden makes note that none of them can see what's happening within each individual cell, but that they can clearly hear carnage and screaming coming from the victims.
Questionable camera placement.
Right? But...
Just makes me wonder how many people scream in that
Yeah.
on a regular basis.
Well, gonna need another janitor.
So Dresden wrestles with his fear, but ultimately decides to do something. And he tries to draw attention to the jailer to the monitors.
Yeah.
Like, which takes him what seems like forever.
Because now it's like, oh no, I have the
Bob
potion
does
of invisibility.
good work.
Yeah.
Bob does good work.
So I want to know what this looks like to the guard. Is like the janitor's not mopping, but just like coughing intently or something? It's like, how does someone try to raise attention in a very mundane way?
Right.
Well, and like to a certain point, like even like earlier on when he was first coming in, he said like some of the colors started to appear for that one, right? So clearly it's not impossible. Like he wasn't even trying to be seen by her, and like she was just like, she saw him, took notice, and then decided it wasn't worth her effort. But now when he's actively trying to get attention, it's like what, the potion's just finally really set in now? Like
Maybe.
or maybe this particular cop is just so bad at their job. They're like, I'm on the crossword, shut up.
Yeah.
Nothing
I almost
matters
have
with
this.
this crossword.
People are screaming. I don't really give a flying fuck.
That's not a six-letter word that starts with B.
Yeah, I'll be screaming even more if I don't finish this.
So he does manage to eventually get the jailer to help him, because the Loupgarou has decided to try to open the door.
Knock, knock, knock. I'm the Loupgarou.
Yeah. So Dresden's trying to hold this back, and then the jailer helps him a bit.
I'll huff and I'll puff.
Puff.
And
I'll rip your intestines out.
yeah, it's. I mean, honestly, this entire chapter is really just very violent. Like it doesn't do much more than just horrify the survivors. Is really what this chapter is for. Is just putting a sense of chaos and horror element into his books that we haven't seen thus far. And this is only the second book, right? But Stormfront never got quite this.
It was graphic, but it was always the aftermath.
It was always the aftermath, exactly. This is like the full, like, toe-to-toe, like, Dresden is here for it all, you know? And even before in this last book, when he was fighting with Victor, he was, like, Fantasiaing scorpions up with a broom.
Yeah.
Like, this is full-on, like, fight to
Horror.
the death, save your life or don't, like, do or die.
Straight from a Wolfman scene.
Yeah. It's violent without being gore porn. So it's
Which is
well balanced.
Yeah, And that's, I know Mom always brings that up too about, like, she likes that he's got the imagery without the over disgusting elements.
Well, he does sometimes have those moments, particularly in the beginning where he's describing the first victim, like Spike. That was pretty gross.
I think this is aided by being from Harry's perspective rather than an outside perspective. So then Harry's own shock has helped muting out some of the details.
True. Good
Because if this was a graphic novel, it would be far worse than what we have here.
Which we do have the graphic novel of this one.
Oh!
Yes. And yeah, it is bloody.
We used up all the red
Carnage.
crayons for this page.
Yeah, well, I guess so. I've read the graphic novels, but really only for the original stories. I don't usually read the graphic novel for Stormfront or Full Moon because I prefer just the text in those cases. But yeah, looking back on it, yeah, I guess.
So I have to re-review it myself to think of it in terms of visual violence, if it's there or not. Which I don't think it is, though. I think it kind of
It's still
mutes it as well.
It's not like The Punisher, where part of the reason people read it is for the torn apart bodies, or something like that,
Right.
But obviously, it is more imagery than a book without any pictures is. But either way,
Just missed this note.
it takes Harry screaming Matt to get attention to
Well,
his
even when he
problem.
points to the monitors, Harry pointing causes the monitors to short out. So the guard just stays like, cool, it's not that big a deal. It's just a tech issue. I'll resolve it.
Yeah, so
the Loupgarou breaks through the door, and we get a
McFinn,
first
yeah.
description of him.
Is he still overwhelmingly masculine?
The Loupgarou was a wolf in the same way that a velociraptor is a bird.
Same basic design, vastly different outcome. I love that line.
It must have been 5 or 5.5 feet tall at the top of its hunched shoulders. It was wider than a wolf, as though a wolf had been squashed down with an extra 500 or 600 pounds of muscle. Its pelt was shaggy, jet black, and matte, except where the flesh blood was making it glisten. It had a muzzle that was too wide to belong to anything natural, and a mouthful of teeth, and McFinn's blazing eyes done in a monochrome gray, the whole stained with blood that looked black beneath the influence of the blending potion. I love that Jim Butcher keeps the blending potion Casablanca thing going on while with the introduction of the Loupgarou, with seeing it. I thought that was quite well done.
the only issue is that while this Loupgarou is trying to break into the door, the jailer finally notices Dresden, but he notices Dresden, not a janitor for a moment.
Yeah.
It's you.
It's
like,
you.
wait, what?
What's happening?
Oh my God.
And it's just one of those moments where Dresden's like, now is really not the time. We're gonna die. And
You're under arrest, buddy.
yeah, so that's just quick comedic relief right before this like death. And he's like, oh, you. It's like, now is really not the time.
So he trips the silent alarm, like the alarm for Dresden or for Loupgarou.
Both.
Okay.
There's clearly chaos and problems right now.
The oh shit moment has arrived.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's just in that moment when just so much bad is happening. It's not really like, I'm not thinking this through about why I'm calling. I'm just calling.
I really need help with this crossword.
Yeah.
So the jailer empties his guns of bullets into the Loupgarou's skull, which he doesn't notice at all.
Which is terrifying.
Yeah.
Horrifying. Like, even in Teen Wolf, like, you needed special bullets and things like that. You needed wolfsbane to be, like, brewed into bullets and other things to make it, like, last. But you could still shoot them.
Yeah.
Like, it still penetrated flesh. Like,
It's one thing to be like vulnerable to a special kind of bullet, and another to be totally invulnerable to like high velocity rounds slamming into you.
it's like, how thick is your skull? Like,
Right.
horrifying. Or how thick is your pelt? Because even wolf pelts are thick. Like, people say all the time, like, if you were to actually, like, go and pet a wolf, like, you're gonna lose your hand before you hit their skin underneath. Like, they have layers of fur. And so a Loupgarou potentially has
That's true.
more and more.
Right.
And like these police aren't carrying special hunting weapons. So
Yeah,
that
right?
does make
It
sense.
is just a regular, Glock or pistol. I don't
They're
know.
just
I don't know what police
they're just giving the
weapons are.
Loupgarou a
Hold
major
still-
migraine.
Hold still while
Yeah.
we shave you.
Get the tactical hair cutter unit.
Yeah. But still, I have to assume. I mean, I don't know what guns in general. I don't know how many rounds, 6 or 7 or 8 bullets, maybe 10 or 12. Either
Well,
way.
safe to say 6.
Okay, yeah, but I have to feel at a certain point. And I'm also assuming that, police are generally good marksmen. They're maybe not like competition level, whatever, but I have to assume, like it's part of their training. I don't know, I just watch cop shows. I know nothing about legitimate cops in real life. But in cop shows, they'll have to go for like recertification every so often and like do some shit,
And it's one thing to hit like a certain like target at like 50 meters and another to hit a 5 foot half
right? So I'm
giant
just
broad
like,
wolf in
it's
front
like
of you.
Point blank. And
Yeah.
have
How
it.
thick is
The
this
barn
glove
door
that
has
you-
arrived. Hit it.
So it's not impossible, but it is still insane.
I'm just wondering, when it gets shot, is the Loupgarou just standing there or is it attacking?
It's still trying to push through the
She'll try to get through the door, yeah.
Because, like, that's where the jailer gets flung back. He tries to shoot him, and then the jailer bites it because, well, the bullets didn't do their
No.
job.
It'd be hilarious if he was just hitting the bars every single time.
Yeah.
And Dresden is flung to the other side here.
Dresden
Out of
is
the way.
flung, and almost just as quickly, the jailer is done.
Yeah. Forced
Like-
retirement.
Oh, man. That jailer had a moment there. It was like, empty the gun, trip the alarm, die. Like, it was all within a breath. It just was like... And again, like we said, like, this is the chapter where the violence really starts, but it's like, this is one of the first times that we see Harry meet and interact and instantly lose. And it's like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, this is a really cool moment, though, because it's very Wolfman, old school movie, because it doesn't actually describe the jailer getting torn to bits. What it does is he sees the blood splatter on the plexiglass.
Yeah.
The shadow on the wall in the background.
So it wasn't, it was implied violence, which is so cool. It was really well done. I like that.
Yeah, it also emphasizes that this is not a wolf. This is not a predator. It's just a totally incarnation of raw rage.
Yeah. That, the demon wolf type thing.
Yeah.
But Dresden notices that there's an alarm going off that has been triggered, as you said before.
Yeah.
And he realizes that Murphy is going to be there, and that's where his bravado kicks in.
Well, and he has a moment, too, where he realizes, like, the safest thing for him to do is go into the jail cell with the prisoners and lock the door and leave the Loupgarou on the police building. And he'd be like, I would probably survive at that point. Like, why would he come back for me when he's got all of Chicago? But at the same time, he's like, but I would release it on the entire police station.
Yeah, I've never been a smart thinker.
Yeah.
He's got balls, that's for sure. His brain might go, oh my god, I'm scared. I'm scared. Okay, do the right thing.
Yeah, and he's good at compartmentalizing, and as we go through the books, it comes up more and more and more when he's like, I would be a lot better off if I did this, but no one else would be better off, so I'm going to go do this other thing. But, like, in this moment, I would already be in the corner curled up and crying. Like, I'm not like, well, I could do this, or I could do that, or no, like, I'm already out of the game. If I'm not dead, I'm effectively as useless.
Yeah.
Like,
Red shirt.
Totally. So this is just that breath right before the, like, okay, it's gonna get worse.
Yeah. Oh, it's like, there's nothing I can contribute to the situation. Even if I run, I'm gonna die.
And then we make with the magic.
Yeah, that's a thing that he can use. How handy.
Finally.
Oh yeah, I've got this wizard staff.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, it's been a while since you made with the magic. I mean, he did the potion thing, but it's actually been a while since he did any magic.
Well, that might speak to just how fast and furious this is all going on. If this is the first time that he's like, okay, I have a moment to use magic. Like,
I could be wrong, but the last time I can think of when he did the tracking spell to find Tara West. And then when he called up Chauncey.
so he's got the blood for the fog to get.
Oh, right, when he was
to-
getting away. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess there's been maybe a handful of times. It just seems like, where's the SFX that I came here for?
Yeah. They put all
all
They put
CGI.
all the budget into the gore effects,
Yeah,
nothing
totally,
for the magic.
Totally.
So then he goes into a lovely description of the perfection of the Loupgarou, which is just, I think, pulled straight from Alien. Because he's admiring the perfection of it, how it's a pure beauty of savage, unearthly grace. It's a perfect killer, fast and strong, relentless and deadly. Which is pretty much the same way that Ash describes the alien as a perfect organism, structural perfection matched only by its hostility. As I can't lie to you about your chances, but you have my sympathies. Which is pretty much what Harry's thinking right now.
Right, good parallel. That's very good. I like that.
And the Prison Escape was basically Alien 3. This is now Alien, and now we're about to go into Predator and Terminator land.
I will say that Jim Butcher has admitted that was the movie he was watching.
Yeah, we know what movies
this.
he was watching as he was writing this.
We fully know. Like, he doesn't hide the fact that what was on the mind.
Oh, that's awesome.
But
I did not know that.
Yeah.
It makes it work.
Yeah.
It's like, if you don't know that it's a reference, it doesn't matter to you. Right. And if you do know that it's a reference, it's like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
And knowing how referential Harry's jokes are anyway.
Well, exactly. The pop
totally
culture
fits.
totally works.
Yeah.
And as we know, we will see the xenomorph later on.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
That's what I'm here for.
I like it.
Yeah. After this chapter, Michael's going to leave until the xenomorph comes back in like 5 books.
Basically, it's like,
All right, bye. See you later.
But I do the IDM for the Alien RPG, and I have one of the levels that's set in a prison, and I'd written an encounter that went down pretty much the same way. So it's nice to see how it plays out. So I'll
There's
see how
only
my
one
characters
way.
react to it. Yeah.
There's only one way this can go.
Yeah, it's like, you gotta get this guy out of prison. JK, he's an alien now. Deal with it.
Good luck.
Have fun. None of you have magic.
So Harry uses the spell Tornarius and flings the creature back as well as himself, losing his staff in the process. So, of course, he's disarmed once again.
He needs to get one of those like Wii safety straps for his staff.
Totally. What's that Harry Potter spell when you bring it back to you? I can't think of it, but like
Return him.
Yeah, that's it. But like
Bring back
literally
you.
like all the time this happens. It's Accio?
Oh, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Comment below.
It's like that. But there's also just the broomstick where you just say up. But like any of those would be useful. I'm like, Harry, you should really take a minute for this one. Like
Right.
this always happens. And if he can make it do it for like not just his own magic, but like the gun across the room and other shit like that, I just think it'd be really useful for him because like time and time again he has this problem.
Yeah.
Well, and he could, because it would just be a wind spell, too. Just bringing it towards him.
And Harry, I'm sure, would have the excuses like, I don't have delicate magic. Like, I would just like take off my whole arm if I made anything fling towards myself. But,
Decapitated by
yeah.
flying gun.
but at the same
One less
time,
problem for him to deal with.
True. He's a lot less pressed for time if he's dead. I guess. Having read Goat's story, I guess that's not true.
Death doesn't really help you.
Yeah.
So Murphy comes into the scene and places herself between the Loupgarou and Harry, gun held in
Pretty much
hand.
the one thing we didn't want to have happen.
No.
The whole time Dresden is like, Murphy's coming, solve this before Murphy's coming, get this done before Murphy's coming, don't lock yourself into jail because Murphy is coming. And then Murphy comes and he's like, well, I failed.
All for naught.
That didn't work.
Or was it?
And he knows that, oh no, Murphy sees right through my blending in potion. It's like, I don't think the blending in potion is doing anything at this point.
Aww.
Is that where he says that he thought it was wearing off? Or?
Yeah, at least I think so. It's like, I don't know how much it's holding up versus everything is totally abnormal now. Unless Murphy's like, there's a gunfight here, but at least the janitor has it together. It's like, don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, he mentions that he thinks the potion's pretty much run its course at this point, and Murphy totally does know it's him, but still puts herself between a civilian and the threat. Right. Even though he's a wanted man,
He's still
the
a man.
law still protects him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and she doesn't actually beat the shit out of him right now.
Well, she can't. She turns her back on the wolf to beat the shit out of him. She'll die. But still.
I'm sure it flashed through her head. It's like, I now have a team tag partner.
This could have
team
been
partner.
that scene from The Office when they're all pointing guns between the three of them, right? But instead she put herself between.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's a huge thing.
Have you ever wondered what would happen if you combined Alien and The Office? Here you go.
Harry Dresden.
I like it.
Thank you to our Patreon subscribers for your generous support. It's people like you who help us to do what we do. If you're not yet a Patreon subscriber, sign up today and get a fuck ton of bonus content, kick-ass merch, behind-the-scenes outtakes, and more. Sign up today at www.patreon.com/freeflowrambling.
So chapter 18. Murphy manages to successfully shoot the Loupgarou with her homemade silver bullets. Dresden is detained with the SI Rookie Rudolph, and he makes a plan. So Murphy's description for... oh my god. Butcher. Really? Murphy, standing at for 5 feet and tall and change, was shorter than the Loupgarou, its eyes at level with hers. She was wearing jeans again, hiking boots, flannel shirt rolled up past the elbows, a bandana around her throat. She was without makeup or jewelry, her earlobes curiously naked and vulnerable without earrings.
So weird.
Her punky little haircut fell down around her eyes as she raised her gun, thrust out her lower lip, and puffed a breath, ripping her bangs up out of her vision.
It's like, no, the Loupgarou's gonna go right for those earlobes.
Sometimes Harry is just a weirdo.
Yeah.
A weirdo.
Those naked earlobes, my god.
Yeah. No blending potion would ever protect a woman from Harry's gaze. He would notice everything,
Well, like,
regardless.
literally, I understand the plot development of why he mentioned her earrings beforehand and why he mentions that they're missing now. But you could just say she's not wearing her earrings anymore. I noticed her earrings were gone. Like, you could just say it.
Which
it
is still
doesn't
such
have
a
to
weird
be.
thing to notice.
Her ears are so vulnerable and naked. It's a weird thing to notice in normal life, but we know why she's missing her earrings. So
Yeah.
I understand why it'd be pointed out.
Right.
But you can point it out a lot less weird.
Its execution was awkward.
Yeah. Harry goes into fight, flight, or observation mode.
Yeah.
He chooses
just
observation mode.
every time. Yeah. So it's just extra weird in that moment. Like,
Yeah.
life or death, man.
But at least he
Vulnerable
notices that
ears.
the gun is different. I was like, okay, why does she have a different gun? Oh, because of the silver thing. That's much more important than the earlobes.
Right. So as you said, new gun, no earrings. Murphy takes a stance, shoots, and she actually connects. There's a bit of blood spurting.
Right. And the Loupgarou decides that it's going to... that it is hurt, and it didn't like that, and it's going to go through the wall.
Yeah, a much less painful option. Just barge right
On
through the
second
wall.
thought, goodbye.
Yeah, just impales himself on the rebar.
Yeah. Literally. The rebar's not inherited silver, you're good. So, it's so stupid. Murphy comes to Harry and helps him out, and they have a little bit of a moment.
It's so great.
Oh my god, you're covered in blood, but you're under arrest. But oh my god.
Checks him out.
Yeah, it's just a great incorporation of arresting speech and just banter.
So Harry, you're under arrest. But we've got bigger issues at the moment. And she gets up and looks after his retreating form through the hole in the wall. And Harry's like, oh my god, you hit the Loupgarou. What did you do? How did this happen? What? And she's like, I read your report, dumbass.
Yeah.
So at least now we know that Denton actually got it to Murph.
Yeah.
He didn't just keep it for himself. He read it, but he did pass it on.
Right. And
is
that
good.
Bob actually has some legitimate information that is good.
Yeah, so as Bob stated earlier on, the Loupgarou can only be hurt by inherited silver.
Yeah.
It's not just silver, it has to be inherited silver. So that's just, as we've said before, one more fun little thing to add on.
Those earrings must have been huge to actually get a round of bullets out
It
of.
makes me wonder, how much silver do you actually need? Like, do you just need to be thinly plated?
That's what it
And
seems
then
like to me, is like
just
not
to
even
penetrate?
plated necessarily, but just like
Does
part of
the
it, like-
silver trigger a reaction like iron does for fairies?
that's what I'm thinking it must be, because there's no way that Murphy is walking around with massive earrings.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no way that the earring is enough to either make an entire bullet or probably even enough to coat it. So I'm assuming that essentially, it's good enough to basically just duct tape your earring to a bullet, essentially, and shoot, clearly it had to be melted down, but I don't think it needs to encompass it. I don't think it needs to be
Well, maybe it could be a blend.
everything. I think it just needs to be a part of it.
Right.
So yeah,
That is certain.
I think, it's one of those things that the intent matters more than the material. And that, if you would, it might not be enough if you, break the earring in half, because it needs to be one inherited piece of silver per weapon. So I'm just, making this up on my own. But I imagine, if you were to grind up an earring and sprinkle it over a couple of bullets, I don't know if that would work. But if you do, one earring per bullet, maybe then the intent is there that you've got
The werewolf just pulls out a manual, be like, all right, am I allowed to be bleeding from this?
Yeah, totally.
Did you shoot me from this? Okay.
The union didn't say anything about this.
Can I get a rules discussion on this?
Yeah, pull down whoever God cursed you and talk about it with them.
This wasn't in the script.
Bring it up with Monty Python.
I did really like you were mentioning about him reading the rights, or she's reading the rights as they're having a conversation. I did love that moment. Like that was just it was a nice little repertoire between the two of them.
Yeah.
And a little bit of a throwback to the fact that
they're
friends still. Yeah, like I think if it hadn't been, it would have just been like, maybe even shoot him in the leg. You sit there, stay.
Get you a work-life balance like Murph and Harry.
Yeah. Totally. It's like almost Mr. and Mrs. Smith. At home, we are a loving family. What happens outside of these walls is no one else's business.
Yeah. We signed a prenup, right?
Yeah.
Before I was in one of the previous episodes, I was mentioning like how much people want to take comfort in what they know or like have something like strong to believe in. And like a prison should be a source of security. It's like bad stuff go in prison, so rest of the world is safe. But now it's like, well, now the bad stuff is in the prison, and the prison's now infesting the rest of the city with trouble. And Murph, who's probably seen all the same carnage that Harry has, she's probably also trying to take solace in doing her police duty. Be like, I don't know how to react to this situation, but I know what I can do right now to try to stay in control.
And I think that speaks to Murphy's confidence in Harry, too, is that she can still be like, I'm still arresting you, but I know you have my back.
Yeah.
Because in most times, I'd be like, I don't want to piss you off. Like, I'm going to need your help to go stop this guy. And then I'll arrest you. But, like, Murphy's like, no, I am arresting you. We're going to go do this, but you are still being arrested. Like, I would hold off and be like, maybe he forgot.
Yeah.
Help me out until we do this, and then I'll tell you. But, yeah, and again, yeah, Harry's right there toe-to-toe with the banter. He's like, I can't believe you're still arresting me. What's through that door? But it's not fair that you're still...
Yeah.
It was great.
We're stuck in a building with one of the nastiest creatures around, and you're still trying to arrest me. Get some perspective. You made your bed jerk, now lie in it.
Yeah.
It's like, Harry, you absolutely deserve this.
Oh, the next moment right after that made me laugh too. She glared at my wrists where the handcuffs she had put on me the night before still dangled. Christ, Dresden, she added in a mutter. What is it with you and my handcuffs?
Just you wait.
Oh.
Yep. So she calls in the police, calls in Carmichael, asks Harry to stay down because you're a civilian. But we all know that's not real.
Yeah.
No, Harry, please don't come help me fight a werewolf.
Yeah.
Me and the cops have got this. So at the same time as all of this is happening, more cops file into the room. Carmichael, right, and a new one who Harry's never seen before, small rookie Rudolph. Long-suffering sighs.
And it begins.
No spoilers, no spoilers. Hi, Rudolph. Nice to meet you.
You seem like a cool kid
You
that's
seem
really
to-
scared.
His first description is a young, good-looking detective. That's all we know. That's all we know right now.
No.
A
Do not
young,
invite him to your reindeer
good-looking
games. Do not trust him.
Hi, Rudolph. That makes me wonder about, what kind of vengeance and issues Butcher has with Christmas stories.
Well, he does call Rudolph handsome.
Yeah,
So.
good-looking, young and good-looking. That's it.
Right.
We'll put a pin in it.
Yeah.
And here is the just adding a layer of how he thinks that police are inept.
Yeah. And while I'm
this
here, I'll
guy.
insult you.
Dresden gets the giggles because he's in shock, thinks everything's hysterical. Mm-hmm. But he does sort of try to sort his thoughts out. Like, and I love these human moments that he has, like these very, like, where he breaks down and it seems like, yeah, I would be right there, like, kind of losing my mind at that point. Because of shock and everything with a werewolf, like the scariest thing I've ever seen, just ripped through things.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Carmichael's demonstrating his complete faith in Dresden in this
Totally.
situation. It's like, he's the guy who knows. If he comes to and says something, listen to him. It's like, Carmichael's a total bro.
Totally. He gives Dresden so much power in this moment.
Yeah.
And to this rookie cop. And he's like, listen, you listen to him. which, you know, typically speaking, you know, no. Dresden's not a cop, he's a civilian, right? And even at this point, you haven't seen Harry at war, so to speak, so it's a total thing of confidence. And thus far, Carmichael has been, like, totally, like, untrusting and we don't believe in you. And for us as readers, we can say that Stormfront has happened and Welcome to the Jungle has happened with Carmichael involved. But in reality, when this was written, Welcome to the Jungle hadn't been written yet. So we really only have Stormfront, right? So for Carmichael to have never seen Harry in action, have never trusted Harry, but to still be like, he'll be the one to help us out, it's a huge leap at this point. And I feel like it's a little bit more of just being like, again, you need to have faith in something, and Murphy's not willing to be the one to step up. And again, as much as you want to say a cop is a cop is a cop, a newbie on his first week hasn't seen the same shit, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and especially in SI where the weird shit happens, like...
Which is one more thing, and as we've said also, SI is the place where you go and you fucked up. So we don't know why Rudolph is here. But for some reason or another...
It's probably not good why he's
his
there.
first week probably didn't go well.
Yeah. So it kind of makes me think that Carmichael's doing this more for Rudolph than he is for Harry. Because he seems like he's being a really good like leader and caretaker in the situation, rather than being like, okay, we're gonna trust Harry, we're gonna make a game plan. It's like
it is almost like, you know, like, stick with this guy, he'll keep you safe.
Yeah, he'll keep you safe, and he gives
Harry's
Rudolph
your
something to
babysitter.
do, which is exactly what you need to do in the situation. It's like, you go tend to this guy, have a bit of conversation, and that takes both Harry and Rudolph out of the dangerous situation for now.
Good point. Yeah.
And it actually is Rudolph's terror that stops Harry's hysteria, you know? It's like, I don't know, like a bit of camaraderie between the two. Like, we're both fucked.
Yeah, well, I was like, at least I'm not as bad as Rudolph. Oh my god, I feel better now.
This guy's really in for it. Yeah, I think I'd do that, though, looking at Rudolph. I think that would help me, too. Be like, oh, wow, we're in a shitty situation, but this guy, way worse than me.
Right. Just calm you down a bit. Well, and he does try to sort his thoughts. He keeps pondering blood. Blood. Something about blood. Oh, and then he kind of figures out what he wants to do about blood, which he doesn't necessarily say in the time, but we kind of get a little bit of an idea.
Yeah, a little bit of an idea there.
Yeah. And we get our little Predator reference with, if it bleeds, I can nail it, which is obviously, if it bleeds, we can kill it. And then they continue the banter. It's like, hey, sit down. You're sort of under arrest. I can't be under arrest right now. I have to do this, which is exactly the same as like, you're bleeding, man. You got to sit down. I don't have time to bleed. Let's go kill this thing.
Wow.
Copy and paste the script.
Basically.
Yeah.
Find and replace.
Find my thesaurus.
Yeah.
That's great.
But it fits perfectly.
Yeah, it worked out for the scene. And I mean, it's not like it wasn't forced or anything like that. Like, you're in a police station, and yeah, it's fine as a good enough time as any. But I like that it's also mentioned between this whole back and forth, too, that Rudolph has seen the monitors, which means all the cops in the building, more or less, know what's happening, whether or not they've seen it in person. So it's one more element to it's also like, we really don't have time. You just saw what went down. It wasn't just like Rudolph walked into a room of blood. It was like, what happened? Like, he's totally seen what this thing is capable of. And yeah, it's like, no, I'm not under arrest, and you know why.
Yeah.
Hello.
Right. So Dresden goes to Murphy's office and collects his magical items. So he does manage to get his stuff back.
You're supposed to put that into a filing system.
Yeah, like a locker or something.
A locker.
Evidence.
And Murphy just got it sitting on her desk.
Next to her computer.
Yeah. Also, you don't know anything about magic. Why would you put magic implements next to your computer? You don't even let Harry into your office without turning off your computer. But you'll put his magic doodads next to your computer?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, right?
IT must hate her.
Literally. And I would think that if you know nothing about magic, or at least, you know, Murphy doesn't really know very much about it, I would think I would put it straight into evidence. Like, I'm not touching these potential grenades. Like,
right.
But obviously, that would be, you know, SI can't have their own evidence locker for the Loupgarou to crash through. So
they put all their money into the prison cell.
Well, this might speak to the amount of time that they've actually had with processing McFinn himself, and like that they're still trying to find Harry. So maybe it's just a matter of time constraints, but it's hard to say with that 1 hour that was wasted at the gas
Are these
station.
accessories that she got from Harry when they saw Kim Delaney's body? Is that when all this is from, or is it from earlier?
yeah,
Okay.
when he arrested her and he snuck out from the thing. But the issue is that that 1 hour, he might, Like, we know the 1 hour matters for as far as the moon rising, because that's going to happen no matter what. McFinn might have not have been arrested until near the end of that hour, right? Like, we don't know where in that hour he got arrested, right? So potentially speaking, if he didn't get arrested until Harry was already with Susan, like, we don't know.
It must be later,
Right?
because why would Tara be like, oh, he got arrested, I'm just going to wait.
Potentially, yeah. Tara maybe came and found him right as he... So maybe at the end of this, McFinn hasn't been arrested for very long. He's only been at the jail cell long enough for Harry to meet up with Tara, call Susan, go to his apartment, and come to this. But I would imagine that would still be another hour. Like, I would think all of that would probably put us at now more like 2 hours.
Right. There's a lot of unknown on that part
Yeah,
there.
like, the timing is just weird, and maybe it doesn't matter too much. And I could see, you know, Murph potentially, and maybe even this is Murphy saying, like, how do you beg evidence for some guy's cane? Like, you know, like, it still could be the murder weapon, but in this case, Murphy's just like, I know what it does, but I can't say that. So maybe she just needs a little bit more time to come up with an excuse for it, because obviously SI is where they create lies on documents, so maybe it is a little bit more of the process to not instantly beg and drop things off at evidence, because you need that middle ground time to be like, okay, this was, you know?
Project Blue Book.
Yeah, right. So potentially I could see in that way, you know, it's a little bit different case for SI because they need more time to create and make up some lies. Either way, it's all very convenient. All of his stuff is sitting right there. He grabs it and goes.
Yeah.
Thanks, Murph.
So he requests a stuffed animal, which we find out Carmichael keeps on hand for any kitties that are stuck waiting for their parents. Not just sweet.
I can't wait to see where Carmichael's story goes. Such a cute guy. 1 second later.
He lived happily ever after. Yeah, put in that SpongeBob moment. SpongeBob soundbite.
Yeah, so Rudy grabs a Snoopy doll. Which that made me laugh.
There's your Peanuts theme song.
Yes, that's coming up. It's interesting what, like, licensed stuff he puts in this.
Books have so much more freedom than TV and movies do.
Right.
It's so funny. And even when you watch a book be turned into a movie or TV show and you see where they suddenly had to cut that out, it's like, oh, the budget didn't hit there, but yeah.
It's like, poor Snoopy.
So this concludes our episode 5.8, Naked Earlobes. Thank you for guest hosting again. I really
you're welcome.
appreciate
Thanks for having me.
Thank you to our listeners. You can find us online at freeflowrambling.com and McAnally's.ca. There we have links to our other podcasts, social media, and other fun tidbits. Please subscribe if you like what you're hearing, and please consider supporting us through Patreon to keep the magic alive and see more content. We are Free Flow Rambling. Conjure at by your own risk.